UN-Iraqi cooperation. Too good to be true? Skeptics say it is, putting forward the argument relations between UN inspectors and Iraqi officials are a sham and won't last. In the daily UN briefings, very few hard facts about the inspections are made public. For now, it's really a matter of waiting and waiting for UN Weapons Chief HANS BLIX to make his report to the UN Security Council. That's in late January. That's after 60 days of inspections. In the meantime, there is always the chance inspectors will stumble into something significant. On Friday the 13th, the UN experts couldn't get into laboratories they were inspecting. For a moment, seasoned Iraqi experts suspected foul play, a return to 1998 and the failed UN-Iraq relations. It turned out most of the workers had the day off and they'd taken their keys home with them. But Iraq treads a wary path. One day, anger directed at inspectors for a visit to a presidential palace. Another day, praise for the UN experts.
We appreciate the professionalism in which inspections are done and the nature of the questions asked.
Within the Arab world too, Iraq is following an at times contradictory track. In March, courting Kuwaiti and other regional leaders at an Arab summit. Apparently building on that post-Gulf War rapprochement in October, returning Kuwait's national archives they'd held for 12 years. Then in December, in seeming disdain for Kuwait's leadership, berating them. In a televised address to the people of Kuwait, Iraq's information minister accused Kuwait's leaders of being agents for Western oil companies. Another twist of Iraq's diplomacy, Uday Saddam Hussein, the president's elder son, seen here on television recently, has not printed his daily Babel newspaper for almost a month. It was shut down for fear its often caustic comments could upset delicate regional relationships.
We did not want it to become a reason for harming the atmosphere. That doesn't affect the reputation of this paper.
Inside Iraq, meanwhile, UN-Iraqi relations seem to be going from good to better. Each inspection site, like the huge Al Dura oil refinery, although familiar from past inspections, requiring much attention now, inspectors almost starting afresh. With weapons inspectors often visiting sites they've already been to, and Iraq's declaration pretty much discredited by the United States and Great Britain, the real hope for a possible breakthrough is going to come when Iraq's scientists possibly leave the country to be interviewed by UN inspectors. No problem to supply a list of scientists, according to Iraqi officials, but the idea of letting so much intellectual know-how leave the country, not so popular. A hint of possible problems ahead. Where conflict does already seem to be underway is in the northern and southern no-fly zones. Iraq says when Weapons Chief BLIX arrived last month, coalition patrols, or as Iraq calls them, violations of its airspace, rose significantly over previous weeks. In the following week, coalition attacks on Iraqi air defense and communication facilities increased. Then, according to Iraq, the attacks it says were on civilian facilities dropped. Recently, attacks have been picking up again. The latest targets, a mobile radar site and cable repeater site. Civilian facilities, according to Iraq's news agency. If nothing else, a war of words, an attrition of patience, whatever targets hit or missed. But patience is exactly what HANS BLIX is calling for. And at sites like this, it doesn't seem to be in short supply. Indeed, in Iraq right now, the possibility of war still feels a long way off. Nick Robertson, CNN, Baghdad. Better times. Iraq's oil minister Amir Rashid signs a deal with a Russian oil company. That was 1999, and Russia, a long-time political and economic ally of Iraq, was enjoying the trade benefits of their friendship. Now, apparently grown tired of deals that fail to meet expectations, Iraq is rapidly cooling its relationship with some Russian oil companies.
When we sign a contract, there should be two questions. Does the company belong to a friendly state with a distinguished position towards Iraq?
At the center of the rift, Russia's largest oil company, Lukoil, informed over the weekend a $3.7 billion deal signed in 1997 was over. Lukoil's contract to exploit Iraq's lucrative multi-billion barrel oil reserves in the West Kurna oil field, 450 kilometers south of Baghdad, was supposed to begin full implementation after UN sanctions on Iraq were lifted. Lukoil's chief blames the cancellation of the contract on Russia's support for UN Resolution 1441.
I think it's Russia's support for Iraqi inspections. Russia supported this, and it's well enough understood throughout the world.
Not so, says Iraq's oil minister. Lukoil's failure to make a substantive start on work at Al-Kurna left Iraq no choice.
When it became intolerable, it had to be cancelled. It's a technical cancellation.
Iraq claims to have the world's second largest oil reserves, 120 billion barrels, an untapped wealth that in its current arsenal of diplomatic options is perhaps Iraq's biggest carrot. While Lukoil hints at legal action and Russia's foreign minister calls on Iraq to reconsider, Iraq's oil minister Rashid says he's making it clear the contract cancellation is no slight against Russia and says that Russian companies should feel free to compete for contracts. Nick Robertson, CNN, Baghdad.